But I want to introduce my family first here. My oldest son, no applause. Wait, because there are a lot of them. This is my oldest. This is my son, Tag, father of 4. This is my number 2 son, my son, Matt, father of 4. And I just, you know, you never know. Then comes number 3 son. This is Josh, father of 5, right? Yeah. And here comes Craig. This is the baby of the family, father of 2 sons. This is Craig. You could give applause to these guys. They're... Thanks, you guys. Our son Ben is a doctor, and he's in residency, and he can't be here tonight because he's doing his job at the hospital. Oh, but here comes one more person. This one here is the youngest of all the children. My daughter, Ann. No, she's not my daughter. This is someone who I must have seen in elementary school. When I was in 4th grade, she was in 2nd grade at Vaughn School. I wouldn't have noticed, I don't imagine, but when she was just about 16, I went to a party at Stu White's house, and I saw her there, and I was impressed. She had come with someone else, and so I said to the guy who brought her, "Look, I live closer to Ann than you do. Why don't I give her a ride home for you?" He said, "Fine, go ahead." We've been going steady ever since. My wife, Ann Romney.
Now that was a warm welcome, and we love that, and we need that, because we need all of your energy and all of your passion to give us wind in our sails and push us all the way to the nomination to make sure that this is the next President of the United States. I'm glad to be here. I'm glad to have my sons here. They look so nice and well-dressed and well-behaved. I like to remind people that there was a time in their lives when they weren't like that. They were particularly, if anyone here, I'd love to know this, anyone that's a mother of all or father of all boys in the audience, then you all know what I'm talking about. They just, all they do is wrestle, bounce balls, and fight. And so when I was a young mom, Mitt was traveling often in consulting, and he would call home and he would hear a very exasperated wife on the phone at her wit's end, and he would say, "Hang in there, I'll be home soon." But he would also remind me of something which I loved, and he would say, "Ann, what you're doing is more important than what I'm doing. Your job is more important than mine." And I loved that, and he was right, by the way. And he reminded me that his job would come and it would go, but this would be forever. And he is so right. And I was so grateful to have that kind of a partnership that kept us having the right perspective in those hard years. So it's been a wonderful 42 years of marriage. And as Mitt said, we've got a lot of grandkids now. And I would like to remind people the best part of being a grandmother is watching my grandchildren misbehave. And then I just tell these boys, "Oh, you deserve it." So it's been an exciting few days here in Iowa. You have an important job to do tomorrow. In 24 hours, we need to get this process started, and we need to give Mitt the energy that he needs to push us forward to victory. So thank you all for being so great and being here.
Thank you, sweetheart. And boys, you know, I was looking at some videotapes and on YouTube, actually, and looking at the president, then candidate Obama, going around Iowa about 4 years ago, campaigning. And he was making a lot of promises, and there's a huge gap between his promises and his performance. He said he was going to get us working again. He talked about repairing the nation and repairing the globe, the world. And a lot has happened over those last 3 years, but those are not the things that have happened. One of the greatest threats we face, of course, is what's going on in Iran as they move towards nuclearization and threaten the entire world. He has failed to put in place crippling sanctions. He failed to speak out when the dissidents took to the streets. He's failed to put together credible military plans that would convince the Iranians to be dissuaded of their folly. And then, of course, there's the economy itself. He went to the American people and said, "I'm going to borrow $787 billion And his administration said, we'll keep unemployment without all that money. We'll keep unemployment below 8%. Hasn't been below 8% since. And by the way, that 8% number, that's 25 million people without work, or have stopped looking for work, or have just got part-time work and need full-time employment. And this is not just a statistic. These numbers mean real people. If you've ever been out of work for an extended period of time, you know what that means. It means in some cases depression, and some cases trouble in marriage, and trouble at home, and other cases people lose their faith. Being out of work is tough. And this American president didn't cause the recession, but he made it worse. And it lasted longer because of his policies. And then we face another problem. And that was a government that was borrowing too much. He was very critical of President Bush. He said borrowing $450 billion more than you spent. That was wrong. Well, he's borrowed 3 times that much every year. And he's on track by the end of his first term, his only term, by the way. By the end of that first term, he will have put together as much public debt almost as all the prior presidents combined. This has been a failed presidency. And I remember after he was inaugurated, he went on the Today Show. And he said, if I can't get this economy to turn around in 3 years, well, I'll be looking at a one-term proposition. I'm here to collect. I'm here to collect. We're taking it back. You see, to get people working, I'm convinced that to help create jobs, it helps to have had a job. And I have. And I'm going to use that private sector experience to get people working again. And how do you do that? Well, one is to make America, once again, the most attractive place in the world for entrepreneurs and innovators and pioneers and businesses of all kinds. So they come and invest here. I saw that the head of Coca-Cola, talk about an American iconic business, Coca-Cola, he said that it's a more favorable business environment in China than in the United States. I'm going to change that. We'll make it more attractive here than anywhere else in the world. I'll do that by getting our tax code right. I'll do that by putting a stop to all the Obama-era regulations and throwing out those that kill American jobs. I'll do that by opening up new markets for American goods so that we can sell around the world, and I'll clamp down on China that's been cheating. They've been stealing our intellectual property, our designs, our patents, our know-how, our brands. They've been hacking into our computers. That has got to stop. I will stop it if I'm president of the United States. There's one more thing we can do to make this an attractive place for enterprises and businesses and pioneers and job creators, and that is to finally take advantage of our oil, our gas, our coal, our nuclear, our renewables. Let's get energy secure in this country with our own energy. Now, I've also got to balance the budget. I got to cut spending. I got to cap federal spending, and then I've got to balance the budget. Now, how do you go about doing that? Let me tell you how you do that. Pardon? There we go. Okay, that's one idea. Okay, good. All right, he's got an idea. It's not the same as mine, but I appreciate your right to express your view. My view is this. What you do to get our budget in line is you say this. You take all the programs the federal government has, and you say which of these programs is so critical that we've got to have it. And those things we keep. But those programs that don't pass the following test, we've got to get rid of. And this is my test. Is this program so critical it's worth borrowing money from China to pay for it? And on that basis, we're going to get rid of some programs, even some we like. Now, the easy ones we get rid of are like this one. This one I'll get rid of on day one. Let's get rid of Obamacare. I'll get rid of that right away. And there's some other things. Look, Amtrak ought to stand on its own feet or its own wheels or whatever you'd say. And I like the National Endowment for the Arts and the National Endowment for the Humanities, but I'm not willing to borrow money from China to pay for it. I like the fact that my grandkids can watch Big Bird on TV. I think that's wonderful. But because they don't have advertising, the government has to put in a check. I don't think that's right. And so we're going to have Big Bird with advertising probably, because I don't want to borrow money from China. You guys, I just don't think it's moral for us as a nation to borrow money knowing that my generation will never pay it back and the next generation will have to pay those burdens. It's wrong. We have to live within our means and finally get America on track to a balanced budget, and I will do it. But I think you know that this campaign is about even more than jobs, important as that is, and even more than reining in the scale of the government, important as that is. This is also a campaign about two very different directions for America. One is represented by the vision of the founders. I love our patriotic music. There's a song, America the Beautiful, you know well. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain. If corn counts as an amber wave of grain, why? Or you're in that song. But one of the other verses says this: oh, beautiful for patriot dream that sees beyond the years. The idea is that the founders, in crafting America, in writing the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution, created something that sees beyond the years, not something temporary, something enduring. That's the American experiment, and it worked. And when they crafted this country, they said that God had endowed us with certain unalienable rights, among them life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. The right in this nation for each individual to pursue happiness as he or she chooses. The circumstance of birth would not be a barrier to what we might achieve. Instead, our own effort could be that. Thanks, guys. Let's talk about the Constitution again. And by the way, I'm sorry? I'm sorry?
Stop the war on the poor! Stop the war on the Go to work!
Hey, you guys, you know what? Isn't it great to live in a country where people can express their views and can dissent? It's a great country. I love it. Make it loud and clear. And I'll tell you one thing, when President Obama is here, I hope we're in the audience making the same sounds about his policies. Let's make sure we hear our voice loud and clear. I was talking about the course and direction of this nation. With the Declaration of Independence letting us choose our path in life, this nation became an opportunity nation. A place where, based upon merit, we could achieve our future. And by virtue of being a merit society, that meant that people who got education and who worked hard and who took risk and who had dreams could achieve great things. And interestingly, by virtue of their accomplishments, they did not make us poorer as a nation. They made us better off. We worked with one another. We lifted the entire country. An opportunity nation drew the best and brightest from all over the world to this extraordinary country. I love what the founders saw, but I watch our president today. I don't think he gets it. I think he's over his head. I think he wants to turn us into a European-style welfare state. I think he wants an entitlement society where government's job is to get bigger and bigger and to take from some to give from others. The methodology of that approach is to create envy in the American people instead of ambition. It's to poison our respect for one another, to divide us person by person. I want America to remain as it's always been, one nation under God. I will unify this great country. As a boy, I was taken by my mom and dad They put us in our car and drove us around the national parks. And it was a Rambler. Any of you remember Ramblers? Yeah, a couple of you do. And so we drove to the national parks and made it, actually. And along the way, we fell in love with America. We saw the extraordinary people of this country and the beauty of our mountains and our canyons and our rivers. We saw people who love their country as we do. That hymn I spoke of, America the Beautiful, there was another verse I loved. It was, "Oh beautiful, for heroes proved in liberating strife, who more than self their country love, and mercy more than life." Do we have any veterans here? Heroes proved in liberating strife. Thank you, gentlemen, ladies. Thank you for your service. Thank you. I love this country's beauty. I love this country's people. I love this country's heroes. I believe that it's time for us to bring America back to the principles that made us the hope of the earth. When Ronald Reagan spoke of a shining city on a hill, that was not in the past. That's not just in the present, it's in the future. I know we've taken a detour these last 3 years from those principles. I want to return them to America. I want to restore those principles to America. I want to make sure the light from that shining city is brighter than ever. I want our kids to know their future is bright. I want to have an optimist in the White House, not a pessimist. I'm going to do everything in my power to restore the greatness of this great country. With your help, we're going to go on, do whatever it takes. Let's get the nomination. Let's become the next president of the United States. Let's win this thing for the entire nation. Thanks, you guys. Thank you for your help. Great to be with you.